name is Abby and welcome back to a new video. I am currently sitting on my floor because I was about to wash my makeup off for the day and then I figured that I should do this. I've been really procrastinating on making like a little opening to this video for so long and I'm not really sure why. I think I've just been really burnt out. I feel like I'm always fighting something. I just feel like when the summer comes, I just get really burnt out, and I feel like other people have it the other way, where the summer comes around, they just get really excited and happy, and I really want to enjoy the summer too. I think there's so many fun things that can happen over the summer, and so many fun plans that can happen since it's beautiful and nice out, but I just think a lot of things have happened in the past that make it hard for me to enjoy the summer now. So I made this dress. You can kind of see it peeking out. I made it over a month ago. I made it for Memorial Day. The fabric is really cute. It has a bunch of cute little drinks on it. And I thought it'd be so fun because I work in a restaurant and it's on the beach. And Memorial Day is such a big drinking day. I thought it'd be really cute to wear. And I was so excited to make it. And I thought it was really cute. But then, so I made it and I wore it. And I just feel like a lot of people, ask me if I, when I wear something like that, they're like, did you make it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I made it. And it makes me really happy. But then I feel like I had a conversation with people and they were talking about how they can always tell when I make something, it has a certain look to it. And I feel like I just really got in my head about what I make, whether it looks homemade or like poorly made, or the fact that I make the same styles. And then I was like fighting in my head, like, oh, it's just like what you like. You have a certain, what do they call it? Like signature style. You have something you like, you want to make it, wear it. It's for you. It doesn't matter. And then I go to the other side of, well, I feel like I just keep making the same things over and over again. It makes me feel boring and unoriginal and that I'm just horrible at sewing. And I feel like it just really, I know people didn't mean it maliciously, but I feel like it just made me crash. And I've been really burnt out and not really into sewing. But I do have a project I'm working on that's revitalized me. I'm hoping to also, I'll give you a little sneak peek. It's this bed sheet with seashells on it, and I want to make something and enter it in my fair in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Why do I keep doing that? I'm like, oh, I'm so burnt out. Let me make it worse by procrastinating on something and having to rush and make it look even worse. It's okay. I feel excited for it, and I think that feeling is important to have and hold on to and kind of nurture that feeling of keeping that excitement for things I make. I think it's a beautiful dress, but I really want to enjoy sewing again. Okay, I feel like I'm getting very emotional. I've just been very emotional recently, but I'm starting to feel better, and I decided, you know what, I was really going back and forth over whether or not I even wanted to post a video about it because it did really depress me. But I think at the end of the day, it's my child, this dress. I made it, I brought it to life, and I did feel really beautiful in it, and I really like to wear it. And who cares if it looks like stuff I've made before. They're all made by me. Of course it's gonna look like, it's gonna have me in it. It's a part of me. And so, I decided I'm gonna go through with it before I wash my makeup off. What is it, 2 a.m. right now? A 2 a.m. decision. But I think the dress is really beautiful. The blue is a little contrasting with my hair because my hair is red. But there's red accents on the dress, so we can just pretend like they match and look nice. But the dress is so cute. The fabric is absolutely adorable. I'm literally in love with it. The little drinks on it. It makes me want to wear it like a brunch out with the girls where you get mimosas. Maybe I'll have to plan that for the summer. A little fun summer activity. But I know this is a very long-winded intro, but I'm hoping to get back into sewing and post more regularly, which I feel like I say all the time. But this time, hopefully I can follow through with it. So enough rambling, enough yapping. Let's jump right into how I made such a cute little drink dress. To begin, I started with the skirt. I wanted to make sure that I had enough fabric to make the tiered effect that I was imagining. So starting with the first and smallest tier, I cut out a rectangle that had a width of 6.5 inches, and that was the length of the side of the fabric. For the second tier, I made a width of 9.5 inches and cut out 2 of them. Then taking one of the rectangles, I cut it in half, and then took each of those halves and put them right sides together to the other rectangle, then sewing them together to make it one big rectangle. For the longest and last tier, I cut out 3 rectangles with a width of 12 inches and then connected all 3 of those rectangles together, right sides together, to make it also one big rectangle. Once all the tiers were all cut and sewn, I serged down the seam allowances and side raw edges. Then for the top tier, I also serged down the bottom edge. For the second tier, I serged the top and bottom edge, and then for the last tier, I serged down the top edge. These are all the edges that would be connected to the other tiers, and so I serged them down to help stop the fraying. Once they were all serged, I took out my hand sewing needle and gathered the top edge of all 3 tiers. Taking the top tier and the middle tier, I connected them right sides together, making sure to evenly space out the gathers. Once they were connected, I sewed the bottom tier to the middle tier, evenly spacing out those gathers as well. Then, with the skirt all connected, I moved to cutting out my bodice. Starting with my waist pieces, I used the center folds of the fabric to cut out my middle waist piece, and then cut out a second one for the lining. Then I cut out 4 side waist pieces, 2 for the front and 2 for the lining. With right sides together, I connected 2 of the side waist pieces to either side of the waist front pieces. Once they were all connected, I began cutting out my bust. I cut out 1 long rectangle on the center fold, and then cut that rectangle in half to have 2 symmetrical pieces. I cut the pieces to make them slightly more of an oval shape, and then folded down the sides that would be the center front to stop fraying. To make the drawstring part of the bust, I cut out 2 long rectangles and then folded them into fourths and sewed them down. I made sure to tuck in the side raw edge that would be out with the tie so that it would not fray. Using the drawstring as a guide, I folded down a channel on top of each bust piece and sewed those down. Once secure, I used a safety pin to insert in the strap and then used a pin to hold it down at the end. Using my hand sewing needle, I gathered the bottom of each bust piece as I did for my skirt, and then taking back out my waist pieces, I sandwiched in the bust pieces between them, evenly spacing out the gathers. Once connected, I used the bodice pieces to help me cut out the back pieces, since I wanted the back to be just one big piece rather than split into a top and bottom. Once I cut out the pieces, 2 for the front and 2 for the lining, I pinned the 2 front-facing back pieces to the side fronts, folding back the waist lining piece. Then I took the 2 lining back pieces and sewed them to the waist lining piece. Once that was all secure, I took back out my skirt and put it right sides together with the waist of my bodice, making sure to evenly space out the gathers of the skirt. After sewing those together, I moved on to my straps. I cut out 2 rectangles and then folded them together, right sides together, and sewed those down. After using a safety pin to turn them right side out, I ironed them down to make sure that they were flat and crisp. Once the straps were good to go, I brought back out my dress, and matching up the top edges of the back pieces, I pinned them together, sandwiching in the straps in the back to hide their raw edges. Once that was securely sewn, I went to pinning down my zipper. I couldn't find a zipper that was a closer shade of blue in time, so I had to make do with this one. The zipper was also longer than I needed, so I just marked down how long I wanted it to go, and then pinned the bottom of the skirt together and sewed that down. Folding in the side raw edges of the bodice, I inserted the zipper in between the sides so that the zipper was kind of concealed, and then I pinned it down on the skirt as well, folding in that side raw edge. Once the zipper was sewn and the back of the dress was complete, I did a rolled hem along the bottom to prevent fraying, and then began with working on the inside. Folding in the raw edge of the waist lining pieces, I did a quick whip stitch to secure it down, making sure that the stitches were not visible through the front of the dress, and then worked on sewing down my straps. Since the back of the strap was already sewn, I pinned the placement on the front and then sewed it down over the stitch that I sewed for the drawstring channel on the bust to help blend in the stitching. And then the dress was complete.